Chattisfying.
Let's get straight into it, shall we? So, Sukonami, also known as
hello.
Deck. Let's start by asking you all about your streams and anything else that you do in terms of sort of content creation. Let us know everything about yourself.
Well, I'm a Scottish variety streamer. I play a whole bunch of games. Normally, this is the point where I go like, oh, this all this sort of stuff, and I play a trailer video. But I haven't got the video on me, so I can just sort of reenact it. No, I'm kidding. No, I've been streaming on Twitch for about 4 years now. Just a hobby. Did it ever since I came out of high school. Probably should have been working on exams, but I was like, hey, let's stream it. It'd be a lot of fun. Why not? And then here I am, like 4 years later, with a crippling addiction to buying video games that I may never play. It's buying video games is my my number one favorite pastime. Playing them, solid 13th, but eventually I got into them.
Wait, what's 2 through 12 then?
Exactly. You don't want it involves that man right there. That's all I can say.
I love this man. I've only known him half an hour.
Exactly. I made the greatest impressions. Dude, it's the shake weight, dude. Look, it's Prince. Nobody's gonna get that reference. This is in the pre-show.
No, that was a South Park reference, wasn't it?
As well.
Oh,
maybe not. I don't know. This is Sneak, either way.
Sneak energy. That's exactly it. That's the one I say. It's kind of like the other one we can't talk about because we're probably not sponsored by it, right?
I'm not sponsored.
Okay, cool. Won't talk about it at all then. But not sponsored is really good. So I don't know how I say it. But no, yeah, I've been creating content for about 4 years, just sort of in my spare time, and I'm not really sort of popped off. Not really popped off and like doing stuff until sort of really recently. Like, after I got out of college, obviously. It was more of like a case of I had more spare time, so between college and like doing stuff, and then I got a job, and then I was like, hey, sort of, I'm doing nothing in my spare time. I might as well just sort of, I play video games. I might as well stream them, and the friends I mainly have friends online anyway, so it's like, why not just keep doing it? And it's sort of, it's grown from there. That's pretty much it. But it's one of those things where I don't know. I'd sort of. I think everyone starts off as a viewer. I was originally a viewer for a long time, and then it became like, what, I would like to give that a go sometime. And then eventually it did happen, and I was like, okay. And then I got stuck doing it. I was like, yeah, this is good. Right. This is fun. No, but that's I'm playing it for a long time, but only sort of create content on them, the last 4 years or so.
4 years is a long time.
It is a long time. Considering it's like on and off. Like, I normally sort of. I normally get there's obviously some certain degree of when you've been doing it for so long, people sort of think, oh, you should be at this level, or you should be doing that sort of stuff, or oh, you've been on for 4 years, you should be like this sort of thing.
Yeah, and
it's something I think about quite a lot, where it's like, yeah, I've been doing it for 4 years, but it was sort of on and off. So I sort of normally categorize myself as like maybe 3 years. I've been doing it for like one sort of. I take breaks in between, so
yeah,
it has been a long enough break to just call it maybe 3 years or so.
Yeah, I guess. Does that not feel like a bit like maybe a sort of making an excuse for yourself, though? At the end of the day, you don't need to make that excuse.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's a societal thing as well, where people sort of on the platform sometimes. I think you make an excuse so you don't sort of feel as bad when people start to come at you for like being not up to their expectations. But then it's like, well, why should I, be up to your expectations anyway?
I think it's like it is very difficult, isn't it? Because like quite a lot of the time, as a streamer, you subconsciously, you don't necessarily do it on purpose. You'll look at someone else against what you do.
Yeah,
and especially if they've not been going as long as you and they're doing way better, you're sitting there thinking, what am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong?
That is a really bad mindset to get yourself into.
No, exactly. And it's one of those things where I think we all sort of do it in certain ways, but I think it definitely comes out stronger certain times than others. Like, especially I think a lot of people felt that during like Corona, where it was very much like everyone's like, there's new people flooded Twitch, and all these people are growing super fast, and people that are already there, it's like, well, what have we done sort of thing wrong? But it's just sort of, I think Twitch itself is very luck based when it, and you definitely get what you put into it. Like, if you put a lot of hard work into it, you'll see that. The more time you put into it, the more you'll sort of get out of it in a way.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, yeah, I'd probably say that's a good sort of recap of how I do things. I play a lot of games that are behind me. A lot of games I play on streamer for the first time, so it's always a fun experience, sort of going through a game that I have no idea what's going on and experience it with people. Because it's like I think you might find it as well, where you play a game for the first time, or just a game that you enjoy, and you're able to sort of say you talk about the plot. If you're playing on your own, like you're sitting in silence, or maybe you're reading it out to yourself and that's it. But like having chats, like you're talking to them, like, oh, what do you think of this character? Oh, sort of, oh, I don't trust them. What's your opinion? How do you think the plot's gonna go?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot more interaction when it comes to. I think it obviously makes games a bit more intriguing and fun though as well, because you didn't really know how chat's gonna react to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say that sort of coronavirus, because obviously the coronavirus changed Twitch quite a lot.
Absolutely.
Maybe only for temporarily, but we're obviously still in the middle of it. Would you say that coronavirus did your channel good or bad, or not really either?
I think it definitely gave me more time to focus on it. Yeah. Before work schedules. I mean, you worked in retail before. You know what it's like. It's one of those things where you don't sort of get a set schedule week to week.
Yeah.
And during Corona, I was on we're in lockdown. I was in furlough for, I think, almost half a year. I think it was from would have been the December. No, hold on. I'm trying to think. June till we came back in the August, and then off in December again for a couple of months, and then back again. So it was a good 6 months, 7 months where I just sat and I streamed 5 days a week. Right. And I really it was one of those things where it's like, I think if I wasn't a streamer, I would have found it hard to fill my time. But I was playing games anyway, and it felt like I actually had a reason to do things. Because I know a lot of people had a lot of lockdown. People are very upset about I'm losing sort of time in my life. I don't really know what to do. I'm very upset and depressed about it because I don't really know what they're doing with their time. But I think I definitely managed to avoid that very fortunately by sort of having friends and sort of being able to just hang out on stream and just sort of enjoy myself. I definitely say it definitely impacted my channel a lot. Yeah.
So would you say then that streaming actually helped you through COVID?
I'd say, yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where I think if you didn't have something to occupy yourself with, it's definitely hard. Like there's only so much cleaning you can do around the house. There's only so much shows you can watch. So I definitely, I sat and watched through all seasons of Twin Peaks during COVID, and it felt like a week, and that was pretty much a week that I did that. But wow. It's one of those things where if I didn't have that time before, I would never be able to do it.
Yeah.
It's like everyone's sort of using their time for, I think a lot of people try to use their time for productive things. A lot of people sat at home and did nothing as well, though. So it's like I could learn a new language, but instead I spent 1,000 hours playing games. So it's like I still had a good time.
To be fair, if I had gone on furlough, that's probably what I would have ended up doing. I would have thought, I'll use this time productively. It's never going to actually happen.
No,
and
absolutely not.
I think I probably would have been okay with furlough because I myself, I don't get bored very quickly. I'm quite happy just watching the same films, playing the same games over and over again. So I probably would have been just absolutely fine. But I didn't get furloughed, so I'll never know.
I thought everyone sort of got either some time off or away from it. But
literally didn't miss a single day because we can work from home just as effectively.
Yeah.
So no,
I was very fortunate in the position where I was, where I couldn't sell donuts from home. So it's like, well, I guess I'm just going to be here,
Yeah. So as someone who used to sort of have, when I did stream before, somewhat of a kind of a work schedule that's kind of similar to yours, where you don't really know what's happening day to day. How do you schedule your streams, and how do you convey that to your audience? Like, this is what I'm going to be doing.
So obviously talking about furlough, that sort of stuff, I was shooting every Monday to Friday every single week until the end of furlough. And went back to school. Oh God, I feel young. Jeez, back to work. Sorry, I thought, well, I was doing this for the last 8 months. I kind of got used to streaming Monday to Friday. So I thought, well, for a good 2 months, I think 65 days to be exact, I streamed every single day.
That was while you're still doing your current job, which is a part-time job, right?
Yes, I'm only working 3 days a week, so it's not too bad.
Yeah,
but it was one of those things where I have to travel, so it is exhausting going up and down.
Yeah,
but it was one of those things where I streamed every single day for 65 days in a row. I was planning to do it for a whole year, but then obviously life comes up and you sort of have to remember to take time for yourself. And I think a lot of people don't sort of, when they have a goal or they want to do that, they obviously feel like they let people down. They sort of go against what they've said. So originally I planned out, so I'd have a schedule, it was kind of like a calendar in a way. It was like Monday to Sunday, and these are the days these are all the games I'm playing. And then after I sort of stopped doing every single day, I took a week break, and then I came back, and now I only stream 4 days a week.
Yeah, because you're busier at work.
Yeah, exactly, busier at work, exactly.
Right.
And like, so before the working hours were reduced, and they're back to sort of the normal hours. So it's like, and they're longer, so I can't exactly like come home. So there was, I think it lasted for about a week after the hours went back, where I was like, I would come home at 8 o'clock at night, or I'd finish at 8 o'clock. Sorry, drive home, it'd be 9 o'clock. I stream from 9 o'clock till, I don't know, 1 o'clock just to get through it, and then it was like the next day I get up, or whatever. So it was like you just ended up not having time to do anything else yourself. Like it was either, I think it's all fair and good streaming every single day. Like it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, I'm drinking a lot of water.
That's right.
But it's one of those things where if you're not taking time for yourself, it slowly becomes one of those things where it's like you feel like it is sort of your hobby, and it's fun. It sort of becomes more than that a little bit in a way.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you start to lose yourself. Where it's like, well, actually, I could be doing this, but I've got to stream in like an hour. But it's like, well, I can just have a day to myself. It's not, nobody's gonna complain about that.
Yeah. I think that's
so. It was definitely. No, continue on. Sorry.
No, I was just. I think that's kind of a thing, a bit of sort of a place where sometimes, especially if you're in a couple, you have a little bit of sort of friction, especially if the other person doesn't really get gaming and streaming.
No, exactly.
Because the thing is that streaming, as much fun as it is, and it is a really fun thing to do. It's a really fun hobby. It's not me time, and
no, exactly, yeah.
You still need your me time, but quite a lot of the time, a partner, especially if they're not really into gaming, they don't really know what's going on. They see the time that you're spending on the computer as your me time, and you're like, no, hold on a minute, I still need my me time.
No, exactly, yeah. It's like I'm here doing this, but and after I'm done, it's like, well, I'm going to spend an hour or two just to myself, and then we can spend time together, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or I'm alone forever.
So what made you decide, like, what was the thing that sort of set you in motion to think, I'm gonna stream every day for 365 days? What made you think that was a good idea?
What made you think that was a good idea, and what happens like afterwards?
Well, no, I'm not saying it is a bad idea. I'm just saying what made you think it was a good idea.
I thought it was a good idea because it was like, well, the thing is, I'd done 5 days a week for 8 months, and I was like, well, it's an extra 2 days. How bad can it be? And then it was like, well, I've already gotten this routine, like 8 months, a routine of I'm streaming, Monday to Friday. I might as well do it, see how it goes. And I think I tried to do so back last December, because it was I had a funny joke where it's like, oh, it's December, because it's like my name's
amazing,
Deck, and it's December. Wow, so I'll stream every single day of December. And obviously there's one of those days where it's like it's Christmas. You don't expect people to sort of want to hang out or whatever.
Yeah.
But I got 18 days in December, and I got really ill to the point where I thought I may have had COVID, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I have to go away now for a little bit.
That sucks.
And I got really upset because I was like, here's a goal I want to achieve. I didn't do it, and I was upset about it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, the second goal was, hey, I didn't manage to do that before, so let's try and go for a year instead of just a month, because that's a great idea, isn't it?
Right.
And then I doubled the time that I'd spent. In the December, so I was like, at least I know I can manage a whole 2 months in a row streaming. And it's like, cool, I can do that if I wanted to, But it's all about just sort of time and taking care of yourself as well. So you don't want to you don't want to burn yourself out. I think that's one of those things where I was definitely keen to burn out, and I was like, oh, it's happened before. I got to know when to say that this is the time I need to take. This is like, if I stop now, I'm just gonna have a rough patch. If I don't, then it's like I know when to, I know when to stop. But I think it's a very mature thing to do, where it's like it's like at the end of the day, this is just a hobby. Like, if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. But I need to sort of take care of my mental health, because if I'm not feeling good up here, then the stream's not going to be any good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people can see that. People can absolutely convey it the way that you sort of. I think it's very much true where if you come into a stream and someone's just sort of looking there upset and down, it's like, are they having a good time? Like, what's going on here? And you're a little bit worried about them. And then if it's just a case of like they're just angry at the game, it's like everyone gets angry at games, I suppose. But And I think it's just when you're not in a good mood, it's like, well, if you're not in a good mood, is this really the best place for you to be at the moment? You know?
Yeah. Oh, you can't really put on a good show, can you? If you're in
No,
a bad mood.
exactly.
And at
No,
the end of the
exactly.
day, that's kind of what a stream really is, isn't it? It's kind of a show, isn't it?
It's one of those things where you're want to entertain. You want to sort of
Exactly
be something for people to enjoy and watch.
Mhm.
I definitely, when I first started out, and I still see to this day, that I'm very much, my goal for Twitch has never sort of been like, I know people try and get on Twitch like, oh, I'm here for the money, or I'm here for like, to get famous, want to buy want to buy followers, primes, and more. That sort of stuff. I was like, no, I when I first started streaming, it was an escape from. I just left high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life, and it was a lot of pressure. I was like, I just want to escape from all that, and I'm going to play video games. And that was my escape. I was like, well, this is a fun thing to do. Why not? And I watch people stream anyway, so I'll give it a go. And then it became more of a case of, I mean, I struggle with my mental health. I know a lot of people do, so I try to convey the point of it's, I try to think that I have a warm and welcoming place for people to come in, and then they feel like, if there's something, something wrong, or if they got, if they're down, they can come and talk. But it's like never any pressure, You at the end of the day, you want to sort of give someone a space where they can be themselves and be happy. And if I think my goal is like, if I can increase someone's day just a little bit, turn a frown upside down, as corny as that sounds, I'd be happy,
Yeah, I don't think that's corny, but maybe I don't think it's corny because I really couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it's like some people think like, oh no, he's just saying it. Well, no, it's like this is how I felt for the last 4 years. I was like, if I didn't, I would have said it.
So, would you say that streaming positively impacts your mental health, negatively impacts your mental health, or maybe a bit of both?
I would say there's certain aspects that increase it positively. There's certain aspects that increase it, that decrease it negatively.
Yeah, for sure.
Where it's a case of, I found something whilst I was streaming every single day where it's like I never had a bad day. I knew that I'd always come on, I'd have a good time and just spend time with some friends, even if it's like, even if it's the same people, even if it's not the same people, or even if it's nobody. It's like I'm still putting myself out there. I'm still doing something. It's like it's better than lying in my bed and being like, well, I'm just depressed today and I just don't really want to do anything. And it's like I've had those things,
Yeah, absolutely. It's better than just sitting playing the game on your own as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Because at least you feel like you've got some kind of company. And you feel at least even if you're struggling, you can tell someone like, "You're having a great day today." Like I can just sort of, I don't know, just feel cloudy upstairs. It's like, I don't know. It's like at least you can tell someone.
It's a shared experience as well, isn't it? Like if you're playing like a solo story game, such as, for example, Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Or a game such as, I don't know, a game that's very profound and makes you feel the feels. If you've shared that, experience, then it can make it more profound, can't it? And it's
it
like
can,
we have experienced this rather than just me, and I've experienced this with you. And
I think it's one of those things where, like, take a character death, for instance. Talking about Final Fantasy VII, like, I'm not going to mention any spoilers for a game that was born before it was made before I was born.
Don't even say that.
Did you have to make me feel old?
Jesus Christ! Oh.
You know when the shish kebab happens.
Yes.
It's one of those things where obviously it's one of gaming's biggest, like, it happens, and even like still seeing it still gets you, and it's like, well, I'm experienced with everyone, and I'll obviously, well, take that game for instance. I played it for the first time this year, like the original. One of the greatest games I ever played, actually.
Yeah.
And probably talk for a different reason, probably answer for a different topic. I know you've got an answer or a question that I want to answer with that, so it's fine. But yeah, it's one of those things where I definitely think that when you're attached to a character, if everyone likes a certain character and you see them get hurt, or you get to see them, go through trauma or any sort of thing like that, it physically sort of hurts. And I've cried on stream at a character dying. I was like, I'm not, I'm connected to this person. I'll show my emotion. I'm sure everyone else is crying behind the screens, but I can't see them.
There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely
not. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I've got a follow-up question from earlier. You said you started to do the 365-day thing just to see what happens.
Yeah.
What did you expect to happen?
I expect myself to. I hope to do it, but at the same time, I sort of expected to. I want to see how it would be good for. Obviously, you want to see growth and you want to see how it grows. So it's like, okay, I'll do this and see if it grows. Because there was something I noticed when I was doing the 5 days a week. It was obviously there were certain days that it'd be like it wouldn't be as you see less people in those certain days. Like, okay, cool. Yeah. So obviously I know what days aren't as great. I think because I did Monday to Friday, so I was missing at the weekend. And weekends are the times where most people are free.
Yeah. So
I was like, I wonder if the weekend is a good time to do it. So I did the weekend as well, and I'd see how it went. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's not too bad. And I think it's all about research in a way. Like you're sort of researching to see how things are, and certain games work as well. Like you're not too sure. Like I'll play this game on a certain day, how will it go? And it's very sort of. I think there definitely are. There's definitely certain not strategies, but there's certain ways you can see how things are going, and sort of just. I was curious to see what sort of differences streaming certain days would work compared to others, and I got some findings back, and I was like, okay, cool, and I definitely incorporated that sort of in a way to sort of figure out how I go forward with things.
So would it be fair to say then that a large part of it was essentially to see if you could grow on Twitch?
I think it's definitely a keen observation saying that. Yeah. I think everyone wants to sort of grow, but I think it was definitely one of the motivations behind it to see like if it's going to work. Because the thing is, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. Like, I stream for 4 to 5 hours at a time, right?
Yeah, that's quite long.
And it's quite long. Yeah. Like other people can stream from 2 to 3 hours, and like they still have the same growth, right?
Right.
So my idea is, or my thinking behind that is like, it doesn't matter how long you stream, or it doesn't matter how often you stream, because if people are interested in you, they'll come to see you, or they'll come to view it. So it's one of those things where 4 hours might be too long, but it's like, I think there's definitely I wouldn't say there's a science behind it. There's not really a science behind Twitch, but there's definitely certain things that I'm keeping an eye on to see how things work out.
Maybe an art to it then.
An art to it. That's a good way of putting it. I think they're definitely one of those things. I'm trying to think other than obviously growth was I'm not gonna lie, like, growth is definitely something that everyone wants to see.
Yeah, of course.
But I did it because also I enjoy doing it. It's not one of those things where I'm not on Twitch solely to grow.
Yeah,
if I was, I'd be doing it like I'd be playing all the which tangents me into something else I wanted to have it later on about certain games that you play on Twitch, in general. But I don't know if you have a section for that coming up.
Not really.
Not really. Okay, cool. Because it's one of those things where there are certain games you can play or certain things you can do, and it rockets you up, and it's like you expect it. But I think it definitely is hard to grow in variety. It really depends on what games you're playing at the time, and you can definitely see better months than there's definitely better months happening if you're playing a certain game that's more popular, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what would you say then is the favorite game that you've streamed so far?
Favorite game I've streamed? Is that because of the way it's turned out, like how many people have come out, or is it more a case of like the way I just generally enjoyed?
Why not both?
Well, both, because I think the answer I think is the thing for both, actually, that I mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII. Well, I only played it originally. I only played the original at the start of the year, but it was one of those games that I didn't expect to be as popular as it did when I played it.
Yeah.
Because the game's 24 years old.
All right, calm down. All right, we know we're old.
Yeah, I can feel my Zimmer frame coming on already. Come on.
No, the game as old as it is, it's one of those things where it does hold a keen spot in people's hearts.
Oh yeah, it really does.
It has such a loyal fan base.
Yeah, especially among people my age as well, because it came out when we were exactly the right age for it.
People your age.
Yeah, and Hippo's not that much older than me. You're only like 1 year older than me.
I'm very old.
Pretty much
I'm Taylor's oldest time.
If you ask
Zimmer frame intensifies.
If you ask like all of my school friends which their favorite was, they'll all say 7. Now I actually never played it, so my favorite is 10. But I know you don't.
I don't worry. It's on the shelf. I've got 10 on the shelf.
To be fair, 8's my favorite.
Oh, well,
I couldn't get on with 7.
There you go.
The most controversial one that everyone's like, 8's terrible, or whatever, because it's they don't like the draw system, Or is that
I didn't care about that. I loved the story, and I loved Squall, and I was an emo before emo was cool.
The one that seems to be most divisive is 9. Well, before 10 anyway. Where people seem to either love or hate 9.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think every game's kind of like that, though, isn't it? I think it's one of those. I think the story and the characters click with people, and if they don't click, then they're like, "Ah, it's the worst game ever." No, I'm not playing it. No, I don't like it. You know, it's one of those things where I had that with 10. Sorry, I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
I had played 7 at the start of the year, and then 5 months later played 10.
Genuinely think that if you played 10 first, you would have loved it.
Oh yeah, probably. I think it's one of those things where I got so engrossed in 10 in 7 and its story and its characters, and I loved it to pieces. And then I went into 10, and it was a completely different art style, completely different characters. It's like, this isn't what I was used to.
Yeah.
You know, and then I tried to love it, and it's like I was holding it too, like I said this before, like even when I stopped playing, I was like, I was holding it too highly, you know, too close to 7, and it's like I couldn't do it.
Yeah. No,
that's why I think if I played 8 or 9, like it's the same sort of art style, it's the same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Before they stepped up.
Yeah.
Again. So I definitely think I might get on with those two.
Fair enough.
More. But no, I'd say Final Fantasy 7, even play the remake and then going to play because obviously you're talking about how it's such a nostalgic game for everyone of your age.
Yes.
And
might as well start off my generation. It's probably much easier. Let's get the real insulting out of the way.
Don't say that. All I can think about is the Who. Saying my generation.
I was thinking
my generation.
Yeah.
Your generation even know who the Who is.
Yeah, I know who the Who is.
Because they're amazing, Hippo. Everyone should know who they are.
Yeah. But you talk to most like youths of today, as I like to say, and they don't know certain bands.
Like, but come on, they're before our time, so why should we know about them?
Yeah, but then again, we grew up with parents who appreciate that kind of music, whereas most parents of a certain generation now that are younger than I would not be into the Who and stuff like that. They would rebelled and gone into different other genres of markings and stuff like that. It'd be more important, I would say it'd be more for like generations now coming up, that it'd be like Nirvana and stuff like that, when grunge was cool and we were living through the grunge era.
I was at the very least. In my early 20s, I got into grunge. Like, yeah, cool, I'm there for this.
Yeah. And of course, nu metal as well was a big phase for me. And I imagine when I suddenly get to create a Spawn, then I will be nu metal in the shit out of it.
Nice. Can I just point out, completely off topic, but Spoonful of Tea, I love your name. My son's name is T.
I love T. She's great.
I just thought I'd mention that.
No, T's a lovely, lovely lady. She comes by all the time, so that's exactly what it is. But no, I definitely say. I mean, the thing is, I grew up with my grandparents, so like I know a lot of. I grew up when I was. This music was Queen. It was Madness.
Amazing.
You're an exception to the rule, then, basically.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. And
which is why I love you more and more.
The thing is, as soon as I started, like, growing up and listening to that music, I was like ELO as well. Like, a lot of the older music,
God, yeah.
I was I felt like I was the odd one out at school, whereas like everyone was listening to, like, Green Day or whatever's cool, and it's like, okay, like I listened to all this old songs, and I felt like I couldn't really speak up a bit.
Yeah.
Then you get to the end of high school, and everyone's listening to like Queen and that. It's like, where was I? Like, I was ahead of the trend. And I think it's swapped because I started listening to like Nirvana and Green Day and Blink-182 at the end of high school, and everyone had already listened to them, and it was already the other way around. So it's like it already come back around.
What you're basically trying to say is that you're a hipster. You like to be into the things that everyone else isn't.
I once told my friend that I wanted to find a quaint cafe to hang out, and she's like, "You're a hipster." I went, "I don't want no." Don't say it. I don't have my jeans rolled up and I don't ride a bike.
Take your typewriter.
Exactly. Well, actually, saying that, I've got. Oh man, don't get me started. There's a man that I follow on Twitter. He's currently building a Lego typewriter, and I really want it. I really want to buy a typewriter, like a Lego one.
Okay.
You can build it. It's super sick.
To be fair, I mean, I'm not really into typewriters, but a Lego typewriter would be pretty rad.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair play. All right then. Well, what was the game that you really? What's the game that you really enjoyed, but your community were just like, nope, not interested?
Oh, okay. I went through a phase, and you'll see it behind me. I have 3 copies of Catherine.
Catherine.
Catherine. So Catherine's a puzzle. Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, it's a puzzle game. Made by Atlas, same people that made Persona. Yeah. Catherine was actually originally an art demo for Persona 5.
It's a little bit risque, isn't it? It's got quite a lot of like, sort of fan service in it.
It's very, very fan servicey, very sort of sexual and very like, you know, the thing is it's also just a puzzle game. I like that. Like the game is 80% cutscenes, 20% puzzles, and that's it. But I love the story, I love the game, and for a long time I just played that, and it felt like everyone got a bit sick where it's like, he's playing it again, are you kidding me? Like, he's already played it. Like, I've got all the achievements in the Xbox 360 version of the game, and I spent like 6 months doing it, and it's like, why? I just love the game. Everyone's like, I think to a point where it's like everyone came in like, you're just a variety streamer, all you do is play Catherine. I know, I'll play something else soon.
Oh, fair enough. But
that definitely started me off a couple of years back, where I started to document the games that I've played on stream, and I have a rule now which I try not to replay a game that I've already played. Final Fantasy VII Remake being an exception. I really enjoyed that one. So
okay, were you thinking of actually doing the original again?
I probably won't play the original again. The game was too long.
I don't think a remake counts as playing the same game twice, though. Not a remake on that kind of level. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a different game basically.
No, it definitely is a different game. I definitely get what you mean. I don't think I'd play the. See, I thought about when to play the remake again, because I played it when it came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, do I play it when the DLC comes out for Yuffie, or do I wait until Part 2 comes out and I do 1 and 2 back to back? And I decided to do the Yuffie stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'm sort of like, well, I can't replay the game until I can't replay the game at all. Actually, I have to wait until Part 2 comes out. But I don't think the only game the thing is I'm not. It's not. I'm not used to replaying games. I replayed Catherine. I replayed Persona 5 3 times.
Persona 5. That's massive.
I have the collector's edition there.
That's crazy. Like that. Isn't it like 100 hours each time?
145 hours at a time. And I played it
3 times.
Twice. I played it twice. 3 times. The original game, and then I got halfway through playing Royal. When obviously the extras I've gotten through, I was like, I can't do this. I can't play it for a 4th time. I can't do it.
That is crazy.
So I was like, nah, I'm done. Can't do it.
Yeah.
But they definitely got upset when I played that again.
Yeah.
But then also there's certain people that caters to, where it's like certain people in the community enjoy it, and it's like, well, I know that I'll see them, but not everyone loves anime. Not everyone loves those sort of games. There's certain games that I wouldn't replay. I think it's just learning from playing JRPG that's 140 hours at a time. It's like, I can't do this.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely.
So I started to just sort of like play this game, and I think an exception is maybe I'll replay it in like at least a 2-year gap before I replay a game.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't be a bad time.
Yeah, fair enough.
But off of my plan of trying to keep it, play one game and don't replay it, I think I beat 34 games last year, which doesn't seem like a lot, but I actually totaled them up for
that is a lot
in my spare time, right?
Yeah.
So you asked me, on stream, yeah. So you asked me, I think it was just a DM, a random DM, or on stream, how many games have I actually got? And I've been adding. Have I showed you this? I don't know if you've seen this on stream. Is there a way I can pull something up and show you it?
No.
No, cool. I'll send you a picture later. It's fine.
No worries.
But I have a spreadsheet now, and it's all of these different categories. So I've got all my physical games that are Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and all my digital games that are Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I counted all of my spreadsheet, all of the games. Comes to 801, Miller.
Jesus. And are they all behind you?
No. So I have, I think, I know there's 197 down to here.
Okay.
And then adds onto that. So it's about 200 on the shelf, 210 on those 2 shelves.
I sort of looked at it and I just thought about 300.
I think you're about right. It's like that's about 90 there, and then that's maybe not 90, maybe 50 there, 60 there. I know these 2 together is 200s and over 200s. I obviously got my Nintendo stuff up here and extra collector's editions. So I probably say about 300 on the shelf itself.
It's now a bad time to mention that I think of the physical media of all the games that I own, it's probably less than 50.
It's not a bad thing to have.
And on Steam, I've still got less than 100 games in my games library, even though I splurged a couple of weeks ago.
that's where I thought it'd be different. I thought, oh, I've got less than 50 games physically. It's like, okay, cool. But it's digital library massive, right? It's not.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
okay,
not. No.
Cool. That's interesting to me.
For a gamer, I'm really bad at playing games.
No, I wouldn't say. Well, the thing is, as soon as you start to buy games, it's like, well, once I totted them all up, I was like, I've got 801. I went, I got 1,000. That was my straight idea. Like, need to get 1,000 games. That could be the guy's like, I've got 1,000 games.
Surely then you've got to play 1,000 games. Like,
I went through and I went through my games list that I have on the Discord where it's like completed games, and I went through all of my games on the Streamlit and the spreadsheet and marked them in green. And I don't think I did. I don't even do like 100. Maybe 100 games I marked off. The thing is, I also have multiple copies of the same game. Like I have 4 copies of Borderlands 2.
Why? It's a shit game. I'm sorry.
It's a fucking great game. Thank you very much.
2 was terrible. I couldn't get into it at all. 1 was all right. I enjoyed 1.
I have it on the 360. I have it on the Xbox One. I have it on the PlayStation. I have it on the Steam.
I knee-jerk reactions. I probably should explain myself. I actually very recently tried to play Borderlands 2 on my stream.
You did. I remember this.
And I still think, because I played it before with my mate as a multiplayer experience going through the story, it's not bad. But I think as a solo experience, it's awful. I really hate it.
Oh no, I think if you play it with people, it's much more fun.
Way more fun. Like, I actually think that it's more like it's balanced and aimed at someone playing multiplayer. And if you try and play it solo, I actually think it's badly balanced and it's not very well made. And I hated it. I really hated it. It was actually one of the few games that I fully just quit on straight. I was just like, I'm not playing this anymore.
I think the original Borderlands 1, the Borderlands 1's better for solo, and Borderlands 2 is better for co-op.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it, at least.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's also one of those things where it's like, I feel in a way, I have a box of games. Like, these aren't all my physical games. I have a box of physical Xbox 360 games that are all duplicates.
Yeah. And
they sit in the shed. And I'm like, I don't count them. I don't look at them. I could hand them in somewhere, but it's like, it feels wrong selling games. It's like, no, I've got these now. Even though it's like, 14 copies of Gears of War 2 or like FIFA 11, it's like, they're still mine.
No, I'm definitely with you on that. Yeah. I don't have many, but I do have a couple of duplicates.
I think it's very, I think subscription programs nowadays, like PS Plus, Xbox Golds, all that sort of stuff, like the Steam sales, or like, the Epic giving away free games.
Yeah.
It's all about pushing, like, they give you games to play. Like, they're like, oh yeah, you're part of our program, like, have some free games, and like that just mounts up as well.
Yeah.
Like, I know that.
Yeah, I've got about 520 on my Steam list, and I've still got 6 months of Humble Bundle to still open.
It's one of those things where it's like, you're getting a whole bunch of games. Like, well, cool, I've got more games to add, but it's like, will I ever play it? I don't know.
That's actually one of the reasons why I feel that things like Humble Bundle are a bit of a false economy, because at the end of the day, you're not really getting your money's worth, because you're not really, because although you're getting a lot of games, you're not probably going to play that many of them. So at the end of the day, that money is just going down the street.
No, I mean, there's still about, I'd say about, there's 2 to 3 games that I keep on there. Like next month's one, I really want to do Beast Simulator, which I'm very much excited to do.
You ever seen Priest Simulator?
No, but I'm sure we're playing that later, aren't we?
I'll send you a link. Yeah, I'll send you a link for it. But it's like you're just walking about and you're just doing stuff, and it's like, okay, it's not out yet. It's mad.
The reason I started on Humble Bundle though was because it was a reason for, like, well, it was pre-channel points when I used to have my own channel point system before Twitch started doing it, and I would put like the top couple of games off the Humble Bundle as an option for like a loyalty scheme as such to get your hippo points and stuff like that. So that's why I had it. And then I kind of just like, no, I'm keeping these now.
Yeah, the Humble, that kind of thing is quite good for look, giving keys away. That's one thing that is quite good for. To be fair.
Then again, you look at like the RRP of certain games on there, and it makes it worthwhile for me because I'm still only paying the original amount because I signed up when it first came out, so I'm still paying $11.99 a month for it.
Right.
How much is it?
I think it's like 15 now or something, 15, 16. But it's still like, because they still give like a very good, at least one very good game that's still looking about 20, 25 quid for. I still think it's well, you know what I mean? And it's always handy to have it. So it's like, for example, I've got Jurassic World that I already own because I got it gifted to me, so I can actually give that to someone that would want it. You know what I mean? So there's resources for it. The Epic thing is fine. I don't mind that. I think I've got about 35 games on the Epic Store, of which I've bought about 7 of them.
Yeah.
I know certain people just completely refuse to use Epic because it's like, it's Epic. And it's like, okay, cool. but it's like, but they're going free games. Like,
I mean, they're more than welcome to take my data and everything because I'm in crippling debt anyway. So I mean, there's not much they can do out of me anyway. So it's fine.
They can take my debt as well. It's fine.
Yeah.
Just take,
do you want my
data
advertising?
and my debt.
Buy my advertising preferences. It's fine because I've got no money.
You know
That's
what
why I come to you.
You know what I noticed the other day? Because I was looking through my Twitch Prime, like my Amazon Prime just came out my account today actually. So I was like looking at the little things you can get on Twitch, like the little
the 39 notifications I've got at the moment that I've never really paid attention to.
You get free games there. It's like, what? It's okay, cool. So I was looking at that. It's like you have to use their own browser. It's like Amazon Games Launcher, or whatever. It's like cool, but like, you get like a whole bunch of free games through Twitch Prime as well. Even if it's like there was one on there that it was free. I was like, oh, I was going to buy that on Steam, but if it's free on here, I might as well just get it.
Wicked.
I might never play it, but it's still I have it.
Yeah. Good times.
I think that you'd be surprised. Like for a man that has so many games, I've never actually tried to humble. I probably should. And that way, it's because I also can give back in a way. Like I feel like, as someone that I think you probably feel the same way, right? Where you've got to a stage where you've grown this community and they absolutely love hanging out with you and being with you, and you sort of feel like you need to give back in a way, and you don't really know how to. Yeah. I think that, giving away games would be a good idea. Of like, just
it's pretty much why I did it, was to do that. This is just a little like thank you back to him. There's someone who wanted Formula 1 2020 or something, and I had that off of the Humble Bundle. I was like, yeah, don't worry about it because I know you can't afford it. Have it.
I have Formula 2011. It's on the shelf.
Oh, see, I think the last time I played an actual racing game or driving game was Burnout.
Hold on, I'm looking at it.
The original Burnout, though, from when you were probably before you were born. Because I'm old.
So you did that to yourself.
I did, but I'm happy to do that because I have a grey beard. You can't see it, but it's grey.
I couldn't figure out if it was F1 or Formula, but there is F1.
Wait, I just want to confirm then, right? So you're saying that your DVD collection in the background there is alphabetically coded?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Amazing.
Before I as I amassed them, I took them all before the shelves were put up. I used to have a bookcase. Actually no, the shelves are the bookcase.
Right.
So I used to have this brown bookcase. You'll see it in a whole bunch of clips or whatever, or in the channel trailer. There's this bookcase, this brown bookcase, and when I did my room up, and like I papered all that sort of stuff, I did myself, which I was pretty proud of. Thank you very much. I took some art and design and decor stuff in college that I learned, like bricklaying and all that sort of stuff. And like, I never thought I'd ever bricklay, but hey, papering seems to be useful. I did all this up, and I was like, what I did is I broke up to the bookcase. Instead of buying shelves, I just bought brackets, and I put the brackets on the shelf, and I put them on them. And then I remember sitting down. I remember having all my games off this bookcase and just sitting on the floor. I was like, okay, I'm going to collect them in piles, and I put them into a spreadsheet as well at the time, or like a Google Doc, and I just alphabetized them. Or no, I just searched for like alphabetized like lists on Google. And I put them all in, and I was like, okay, cool. So it was this one, this one, this one, this one, put on the shelf. This one, this one, this one, this one, put on the shelf. And then as I gained more, I just sort of went there, sort of thing, just sort of thumb it in. Some of them probably wouldn't fit. Like there's a new one like. I think the exception to this one is the one I got recently was called Wet. Not too sure what it's about. Just the word wet. Liked it. Has a hot lady on it. I was like, cool, I'll buy it. Got it for I think £2. So I just stuck it on the shelf and that was done. I might play it sometime. Who knows?
That's so weird. What Ben just said in chat, I was literally about to say exactly that. What do you file Lord of the Rings under? T or L?
L.
L. So all of the other
don't count the T's. If it's there, it's like no, it goes the other way around.
That's so weird.
Like, Skyrim's under S, even though it's like the Elder Scrolls. It's like it's not S Skyrim.
Right.
But on my spreadsheet, it goes underneath E because Elder Scrolls.
Oh no! It's different on your spreadsheet.
Oh man!
What? That's just confusing, isn't it?
Well, it's like I have it physically here. It's like that's fine. Like all of it's fine there. Like it's good, but as soon as it comes to like a T, like there's no other than like it's got the golden compass. Like,
well, I think we should probably come to a close quite soon on this and move on to segment 2. But what's coming up soon on in Sukonami? What's the scoop?
What's the scoop? A game that Mellar hasn't done yet because he hasn't got a Switch. Breath of the Wild.
I really want to. And
You're not a Zelda fan if you haven't played that. Even I know that.
The thing is that if you play that, I probably can't watch it because I still don't want it to be spoiled for me because I do want to play it eventually.
I've only played Link to the Past.
Yeah.
I need to play Horizon Zero Dawn. Kenna Bridge of Spirits comes out next month, so I'll be buying that. Still upset there's not a physical release. It's all digital. Like, I want it on the shelf. I want to own it. I have a certain way that I like to do the streams or run the streams. Where it's like I have a main game, I have a side game, and a long play I like to do. So it's like, well, at least when I was doing 7 days a week, it was like 4 days a week I'd play the main game. That's 4. I had 2. That's 6. So then the 2 days I would do like a side game, and then one day I play a game I can just beat in one sitting. So it's like an indie game, a shorter game, whatever. I like just doing it that way because it's one of those things where I think if you don't play indies, you're missing out on a whole bunch of fantastic games.
Yeah, absolutely. So
these are cheap as well. So
aside from what games you're thinking to play, do you have any sort of things that you might be thinking of doing? Sort of things you might be adding to the stream, little tweaks that you might be doing?
I do have certain like tweaks. I'm always tweaking my stream. I'm always looking to try and upgrade and change things and sort of make the best possible, layout. It's always one of those things where I'm always experimenting. There's always things. I actually have this little book here. It's my little notebook when it comes to streaming stuff.
Right.
It's beside my thing, but it's like you can't really see too much.
No.
Oh my God. But it's like I have notes scribbled down about face cam layouts or thumbnail layouts and like anime things or anime night things for the community or retro screens and games I want to do retro things for, or like emotes. All my OBS settings are here.
Oh, that's really cool.
I'm terrible at. The thing is, I know that as soon as I get an OBS update and it changes stuff, I'm like, well, I've got them here. But that's the way it used to look, so I can fix it.
Yeah, that's really good idea.
Possible stream schedule stuff, SFX updates, that sort of stuff, Discord updates, rule updates, that sort of stuff. So it's like I have a little notebook. Whenever I think it's. I definitely had it for a long time during COVID, where it's like I go to bed. I'd never turn myself off. I would always be on, always working away. So I'm sitting here like, so there's something like in my head. Like I need to that's why I have post-it notes on my desk. I keep post-it notes everywhere, just in case I never know what idea I have. It's just like that's a great idea. Let me write it down. And then it's like because you absolutely forget. Like, I'll go to bed. It's like, what was that idea again? Yeah. Okay, so I write it down, and then I wake up in the morning like. What is that legible? What is this? And it's like, okay, that's what I was trying to say. But there's like the tiniest thing of the thing is I also get very fixated over my stream or like the way things are. Like, if it's not the right sort of thing and I don't like it, then I'm gonna like, yeah, everyone else will hate it. But it's like it'll be fine. But it's like no, I hate it, so everyone else must hate it.
I see.
But I never liked anything I did, so it makes no big difference. Like I get very upset where it's like. I remember having an internal debate for 2 days where it's like, do I put the word music for what's currently playing, or do I just put a little disc spinning GIF?
Oh, disc spinny.
I did. I went for that one at the end.
It really shows how much thought you put into it, and I love the fact that it's actually a written tome rather than what I think what most people would do and what I do is a Word document.
Oh yeah, exactly. I think it's one of those things where it's like. It's all fun and good, like writing it in a Word document, but it's like I remember sitting in the garden and just writing stuff down because it's like, well, I don't like as much as I love Twitch and the internet and just being a lazy potato in my chair. I also sort of need to take care of myself, so I need to go out. So I'll go out and I'll still take my book with me. And I'm sitting in a cafe somewhere. It's like, yeah, I'm still getting a time outside, but I'm just working on stuff or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, last question then before we move on. So do you do any other content creation as well? Anything like YouTube or I don't know, Instagram or anything like that?
I wouldn't say. I mean, I have a pretty funny Twitter now and again. I like to send some pretty raunchy tweets.
Oh yeah.
You ever worry about that? Like, you ever get big enough and people start using your name in certain things? Like they start using.
Worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I want to play this game, but like, my Mellar 21's used. Like, well, okay, so they use that, but everyone else is like, I imagine giant streamers must have that problem. Like, Amaranth can't go on to Club Penguin and try and be Amaranth, can she?
That's an interesting thought right there. To be fair, to see Amaranth.
Let's move on.
To be fair, most of the characters I have.
Hippo's gone. He's just.
I have a couple of Club Penguin games actually up there.
Right.
Oh my god! When it comes to that kind of thing, though, I've for example, certain games like Minecraft where you have to have your own account. I got that early on, so and I didn't play it for years anyway because I friggin' hated it at the time.
Yeah.
How I've come to change my mind on that one, I'll never know.
Yeah,
But I took that, and to be fair, when I play World of Warcraft, most of my characters are variations of a hippo to a degree. So I've got Dr. Hairy Hippo as my
like
druid
Dr.
healer,
Mario,
which,
right?
Dr.
Mario,
yeah,
and this Mario, Dr. Hippo, this Hippo.
Yeah, and I got what have I got? I've got my Hippo Rogue, which is called Hippo Roe, because I forgot to put the G into it.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm that classy. That's how I do it. But when it comes to that kind of stuff, I've had my names taken before and stuff like that. And to be fair, if I'm playing privately or something, or where a game's going to show my name, I tend to have a random alias, like an old alias, like my old alias is Karisar, Darren Shah, and stuff like that. I used to use. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, shall we move on then to
Chattisfying?